Hello and welcome back to Eurofootball Daily, where today, inspired by Dani Alves' return to Barcelona, we're looking at 10 other players who made shock switches back to their former clubs. Let's start at the Camp Nou with the legendary right-back. 10. Dani Alves. If Xavi's appointment as Barcelona manager feels like reaching for lost glory days, his first signing is even more nostalgic. 38-year-old Dani Alves, who left the club in 2016, will return to the Blaugrana in January on a 6-month deal, bringing high standards, 43 winners' medals, and a love of the club, which he showed on his presentation to the fans by taking off his flip-flops to feel the turf of the Camp Nou under his feet once again. Alves spent 8 years with Barca, earning a piece of silverware every 17 games, including 6 titles and 3 Champions Leagues, along with an incredible 21 goals and 101 assists in just under 400 appearances. Output he has maintained at Sao Paulo, contributing to the score sheet every 4 matches. However, he also plays in the most demanding role on the field, has 999 games under his belt for club and country, and hardly feels a position of need for the Catalans, with Sergi Roberto and Serginho Dest available in the right-back slot. Xavi will hope Alves can lift the dressing room, and placing an £84 million buyout clause in the Brazilian's contract is a clear sign of respect. Even if he can't save Barca, he'll at least fight for the badge. 9. Wilfried Zaha. Alex Ferguson's last United signing, Wilfried Zaha, was expected to be a star when he moved to Old Trafford for £11 million in 2013. The wide man, then 20, already had 150 games for Palace to his name, and while he was yet to appear in the top flight, he was an England international, making his Three Lions debut against Sweden in November 2012 alongside Raheem Sterling. But things quickly went off the rails. Once David Moyes arrived in Manchester, Zaha only got on the field twice, and spent the second half of his maiden season with the Red Devils on loan at Cardiff, where he was relegated under eventual United boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Despite his age and obvious talent, with an insane 5 dribbles completed a game in Wales, Zaha had few suitors in the summer of 2014, and in the end, Palace bought him home for just £6 million. He would make 250 further appearances for the Eagles, reach an FA Cup final and contribute 77 league goals and assists, becoming one of the most dangerous wingers in the top flight, as well as switching his international allegiances to the Ivory Coast. At one stage rated at £70 million, Zaha is another quality player United lacked the patience to nurture. 8. Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry may be French, but he belongs to North London. The iconic forward only won 2 titles in his long career with Arsenal, but left a permanent mark on the English game, finishing as the division's top scorer 4 times between 2001 and 2006, and setting a record for assists which still stands today, an incredible 20 in one campaign. But despite delivering a goal or assist every 91 minutes in London, Henry never added continental silverware to his cabinet, and it took a move to Barcelona to lift the Champions League, the last trophy missing in a career which included the European Championships and a World Cup. From there, then 33 years old, he went on to New York Red Bulls and seemed settled in for a comfortable twilight spent courtside at Knicks games and humiliating Yanks on AstroTurf. But incredibly, in January 2012, the King returned to Arsenal, arriving on a 2-month loan deal to cover for the AFCON-bound Gervinho and Maroon Chamakh, and taking the number 12 with his old 14 then assigned to Theo Walcott. In one of the great modern moments of English football, Henry netted the winner on his second debut against Leeds, lifting the roof off the Emirates and peeling away to celebrate with Arsene Wenger. He added one more before he left again, a final gift from the most gifted of them all. 7. Zlatan Ibrahimović. When Zlatan Ibrahimović cancelled his contract at Manchester United in March 2018, it looked close to the end for the legendary Swedish forward. A serious ACL injury had derailed his prosperous 18-month stint in English football, and aged 37, a move to LA Galaxy looked like an appropriate next step for the damaged veteran. But in typical Zlatan fashion, the Malmo youth product found a new lease of life in America. A 45-yard strike on his debut against LAFC was followed by a stunning 53 goals in 58 MLS appearances, twice earning a spot in the division's All-Star 11. Ibra was so prolific, AC Milan agreed to hand him a 6-month deal in December 2019, reuniting the pair after over 7 years apart. The move initially seemed desperate from Milan considering the forward's age, but their gamble paid off as 31 goals and 4.4 shots per 90 later, and the Scudetto is well within the Rossoneri's grasp. Aged 40, Ibrahimović has even returned to the Swedish national side too. Get them to Qatar and his stunning legacy will be complete. 6. Juninho. Nowadays, we expect stars from all over the world to make their way to the Premier League, but that wasn't always true. When Juninho arrived at Middlesbrough in 1995, he cost £5 million, £2 million off a British record, and he was just the second Brazilian to appear in the division. To make the move even more surreal, he was an elegant 5'5" playmaker, pitching up at a boot and braces northern side Borough, who'd only just been promoted to the top flight. But the little fella quickly won supporters over with his humility and incredible skill, helping the club to both FA Cup and League Cup finals in 1997, and routinely joining kickabouts with local kids on the streets of Middlesbrough. He was so good that when a points deduction consigned the Teessiders to relegation, he still came in second for the Player of the Year award. Sadly, a switch to Atletico Madrid was scuppered by injuries, which saw him drop out of the national team setup and never quite set the league alight. Fortunately, he was still well loved in the North East, and when Borough won promotion again, he returned, first on loan and then permanently, going on to play a further 83 games for the club. But while Borough couldn't offer him silverware, they did give him arguably a higher honour, voting him as their greatest ever player in 2007. 5. Mats Hummels. German centre-half Mats Hummels is a rare example of a player who has successfully negotiated his way between two major domestic rivals. The 32-year-old has only ever represented Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund, swapping shirts in Die Klassiker on 3 occasions, and unsurprisingly this hasn't always been well received. None more so than in 2016 when Hummels first left Dortmund for Bavaria. He had appeared over 300 times for Die Borussen, forming the heart of a side that won 2 Bully titles under Jurgen Klopp and reached the 2013 Champions League final. So, when news broke that he contacted Bayern over a transfer, the Westfalenstadion was furious. Sick of seeing their best players snapped up by their biggest competitor, Hummels was forced to play under a chorus of boos. While one banner in the crowd against Wolfsburg read, "The captain is leaving the ship, the sooner the better." His €35 million move was sanctioned that summer. Hummels won 3 more Bully titles with his boyhood side Bayern, before surprising everyone again by switching back to Dortmund in 2019 for €30.5 million. Considering the acrimonious nature of his departure the first time around, few saw it coming, though today he's never been more important to BVB's ambitions. 4. Didier Drogba. Didier Drogba's final act for Chelsea in 2012 was the stuff of dreams. Loved and adored by the Blues faithful, having scored 157 times in 341 appearances for the club, winning the league on 3 occasions, the Ivorian signed off from West London by scoring the winning penalty in the Champions League final. His iconic 88th-minute header had also drawn them level against a far superior Bayern Munich side in their own backyard. Then 34, Drogba embarked on a lucrative £200,000 per week career with Shanghai Shenhua. But just 6 months later, he signed with Turkish giants Galatasaray, where 20 goals over the next 18 months showed the former Marseille man still had it. Even so, very few could have predicted a return to England lay next. Jose Mourinho was back at Chelsea, and he jumped at the chance to reunite with his old ally, then aged 36. It proved a masterstroke by all involved. Drogba scored 7 times, reached 350 appearances for the club, and proved an influential figure as Chelsea romped to yet another title. He departed again the next summer, this time for the MLS, but did so with his stunning legacy firmly intact. 3. Leonardo Bonucci. Leonardo Bonucci's move to AC Milan in 2017 is one of the strangest transfers in Serie A history. Aged just 30 at the time, relatively young for an Italian centre-half, Bonucci was a linchpin in the Juventus defence alongside Chiellini and Buffon that had just delivered 6 consecutive Scudettos. AC Milan, for all their former glory, were not in a great state. A sleeping giant of Italian football after being absent from European competition for 3 straight seasons, it was inconceivable that they could attract a Bianconeri star. Yet they pulled it off, handing the old lady €42 million to make Bonucci the flagship signing of their new owner Yong-Hong Lee. His one season in Milan, however, proved a disaster. The Rossoneri limped to 6th in Serie A, finished runner-up in the Coppa Italia, and were forced to hire Gennaro Gattuso mid-campaign. To make matters worse, Bonucci was forced to play against Juventus to a cacophony of jeers. Just a year later, he returned to Turin for €35 million, and was promptly reminded of his betrayal by fans at his first training session back. But he soon became a darling of the Curvasad Ultras once more, putting to bed this bizarre chapter in his esteemed career. 2. David Luiz. Despite his exceptional passing, Champions League and Premier League titles, David Luiz never really settled at Chelsea the first time around. The Brazilian's rashness made him a liability in a back four and carded every 3 games under 5 different coaches. So, when PSG offered the Londoners £50 million for him in 2014, then a world record fee for a defender, it was widely agreed that the French club were making a comical error, and Chelsea had to sell. Luiz earned another 2 titles in France and made the Ligue 1 Team of the Year in both seasons, but no one expected to see him back on English shores. That was until Antonio Conte came along. The Italian was used to Leonardo Bonucci running his team from the middle of a back 3 and felt that Luiz could fill the same role, so just 26 months after his departure, the defender, who by then was 29, switched back to his former home for £32 million. And it was worth it for the 2016-17 campaign. Luiz missed just 5 games and made his first appearance in the Prem's best XI as Chelsea won the league with 93 points, then the second best tally in the division's history. Luiz ended up providing the Blues with another £8 million and a few laughs when he left for Arsenal in 2019. 1. Antoine Griezmann. Offloading a 28-year-old Antoine Griezmann for £108 million in 2019 may be the best bit of business Atletico Madrid ever did. The windfall allowed them to bring in Trippier, Llorente, Hermoso and João Felix, while saddling their rivals with Griezmann's £300,000 a week wages. And to make things even sweeter, Griezmann never won La Liga in Catalunya, while Atleti marched to a second title under Diego Simeone in 2021. Given how well the move worked out, it seems strange that Atleti bought back their former star last summer, loaning him for an initial £9 million, with the switch likely to become permanent for a further £34 million next year, when the Frenchman will be 31. At Barca, Griezmann's output went through the floor, going from 5 shots and chances created a game to just 3, and despite playing alongside Messi, his goal involvements plummeted from 1 every 118 minutes in Madrid to 1 every 166 minutes. He's also pressing and carrying the ball less than he did in his previous spell with Los Rojiblancos, making it hard to see how he slots back into Simeone's ferocious defensive machine. Despite his tough exterior, the manager is clearly sentimental, having previously brought back Torres, Diego Costa, Felipe Luis and Yannick Carrasco to the club. We hope Griezmann's return is more like Carrasco's than Costa's, but with just 2 goals so far, perhaps there's a reason this transfer was a shock. So that was 10 player returns you never saw coming, but which one were you most surprised by? And give us some more examples, perhaps we'll do a part 2 later in the year. Make sure you're liked and subscribed to Euro Football Daily with that notification bell switched on, and we'll see you next time.